A revolving set?
Separate call times for every actor?
A toilet?
A magical movie theater?
Join us for the most complicated shoot Threefold has ever done. Starting now. Okay, so Wex reached out to us. Wex does a lot of different things, but what they reached out to us for this time was specifically around some of the HR things that they offer, some of the benefits options that they bring to the table, and they wanted something fun and that really represented the culture of HR and the revolving door that can be HR, of people coming and going, of how HR managers feel. And revolving door was just this word that kept coming up in conversations over and over, no matter what we were talking about with HR.
So coming up with the idea was actually pretty easy. We were working with the client, collaborating with them. They were all gung-ho for it.
And we had sold an idea. We had zero idea how to make a revolving room. We're like, this is super easy when we draw it. And then we're like, oh, now
it can't be that hard.
Now we have to make it.
So initially we thought, okay, plywood is 4 feet wide. Let's do an 8-foot wheel and we can have these flats built on it. When we started looking for materials and how we were gonna build it, we actually went over to our good friends at Sleepy Hollow Theater and they had already built one.
It was 10 feet. And we're like, okay. They're like, you can have this. You guys can just take it. And we're like, oh my gosh, sweet. We're like, I guess we'll just make it 10 feet. In hindsight, that was like the biggest blessing because 4 feet would have been so small. Like, I don't think we would have fit a toilet and a pedestal sink and an actor on there.
We had walls. We were trying a new technique with the walls using metal studs instead of wood studs to try and lighten it up.
We're gonna give it a spin with the rooms for the first time.
And that was a whole nother thing.
That was a whole nother deal.
We had to overcome some obstacles that we were not anticipating. So just know that if you're doing your sets and you're doing your projects and you go, oh, man, Threefold doesn't ever struggle. Trust me, we had some issues.
Once we had gotten the skeleton built, we got basically enough panels and walls up to just take some test footage so that Zach could start piecing things together. We could put his mind at ease, it could put our mind at ease.
And you can see Adam there, just a handsome guy.
Even with the crappy looking set that we had, it was starting to come together and was like, okay, we can do this. Well, the great part about set construction is that it only has to be good enough for your camera angles. And so that leads to errors and faults in other areas like very, very squeaky floors. And we lucked out that we didn't need anybody actually walking on the floors, or we would have had to up our construction game to be much better than it was.
Yeah, I mean, we're handy guys, but we're not building anything up to code. It's
good enough.
It's safe.
Yeah.
But
mostly
only if you use it as directed.
Right.
So as the producer for this shoot, one of the magical things was that we didn't have to have everyone here at the same time. That's great, because then we can focus on one person's performance. We can get them all scheduled out and focus on them one at a time. However, that means that these people are interacting with imaginary people who will be placed in the edit later. So we had to be very diligent on where was their eye line? Did they know where they were looking? Overall, I think it turned out well, but that was something we had to be very aware of.
The wheel was a ton of fun, but it did slow down actual production, like shooting and having talent on set. We quadrupled probably the time it took to film a single actor, actress when they were on site. It started shifting and would rub into the set. So we constantly had to scoot this giant couple 100-pound wheel back into position.
1, 2, 3.
It took 4 or 5 of us just to scoot it back into place every single time we had to adjust it.
Yeah.
If we did that again, it was we need to have a pole that we could mount it to the ceiling and mount it to the ground, and so that it could be fixed and it could hopefully spin a little bit easier, kind of like a lazy Susan.
Yeah.
We just discovered something great with our storyboard. This next scene, we don't have to move the wheel at all, which is really nice. It's going to speed things up. Fingers crossed.
So a lot of the elements in this production were fluid. We had talent coming in at different times. We were changing up the set, but there was one thing that could not change, that could not be fluid, and that was
our main camera out here. So we built a C-stand protection tower so that this camera wouldn't get touched, it wouldn't get bumped, it wouldn't get moved for the entire week that we were filming, and we couldn't just reset it up and have it close. This thing could not move and be touched for a week. This was our strategy here. This was another unique piece about what we had to do because of the way that we filmed it and when our talent came in. So let's go take a look behind the set. So over here we have our nice blue sky background. We have a falcon eyes that's helping light this window that we have placed over here. We put up some blinds so that we could have a nice little texture, a little accent on the wall. For the lighting, you can see up here, we have 4 Novas, plus we used an Aperture 300D Mark II for a little bit of extra fill. But up top, we have our 2 main Novas with a little bit of extra diffusion just to help bring light to the entire scene. And then we have 2 more individual ones that are targeting kind of each corner more directly, and each of the scenes a little bit more directly. And when we were filming the movie theater scene, we also had kind of a quick little light gag where 3 of the lights got brought down, so it made it feel a little bit more like a movie theater scene. And the movie scene was like one of my favorite scenes because there's a lot of different elements. It was not in an office, but then we dimmed the lights to make it more movie-esque. We had some haze in the air so you could really see the projector beam. And it was definitely the most stylistic and like fun of the bunch. And we found movie theater seats, which was like, that was a score.
with the lights dimming down. That was a little interesting because remember, we dimmed the lights for the movie scene, which we filmed separately from the scene over here with the HR professional. So we had to figure out how to dim the lights for her with her performance and make them match up with the timing of this one. I can't remember how we did that, but Zach handled it, so we just didn't worry about it.
And we love that.
We're just the idea
Zach.
guys. We don't even know how this works. So the rest we're gonna show you through editing magic.
And that's because this was one of the most unique sets, the most unique edits that we've ever done. And the BTS don't really show you how it all came together. So Zach, let's show them how we did it, how you did it.
All right, welcome to the editing bay. Let's talk about some of the post-production workflow, some of the trickery that we did in order to pull this commercial off. Let's start just by playing this first little sequence here. So as you can see, there's kind of a lot going on here. As Keenan may have mentioned, we had every single actor and actress come at a different time. We recorded each one of their performances separately. Everyone had a different call time. And what that amounts to is really kind of stitching all of their clips together in post. So it's really kind of a big puzzle, and timing really becomes a big factor too, especially with this rotating, corner here. It becomes tricky. But let's just kind of talk about the basics first. I'm gonna mute just a few of these clips. You can see this is kind of the unaltered scene here of our main actress kind of reacting to these rotating corners. We just used that left-hand side of the frame. So when you see this light dome and the Dana Dolly, it's not a big deal. We just went ahead and we stamp tooled some of this stuff out after the fact. So as you can see, we're kind of cleaning up that carpet there. And then we went ahead and we added the unassuming corner back in. And with that comes all of the rotating scenes. And then as one final kind of cherry on top, you can see that we have this kind of, it's like a flap made out of gaff tape. And that was kind of used to, well, after the fact, I really wish we wouldn't have put it there at all.
Yeah, the whole practical flap between the static wall and the rotating walls, in our mind, again, the idea was great.
We thought it was gonna be a much bigger deal than it was.
We tried to solve it practically with like garage door stripping and gaff tape, but in the end, we just solved it in the edit. Thanks, Zach.
We had some fun with the effect here. We went kind of the Tasmanian Devil whirlwind style in terms of the speed and the motion blur and all that. And that actually, You'll find out in a minute that was kind of our saving grace. This is the Gossip Girl scene, and we just kind of put that unassuming corner in there. So this is actually what it was when we filmed Gossip Girl at the water cooler. She had that TV there. We're like, oh no, we need to put the rest of the office space there. So we had to do that. One thing that was difficult was making sure that this rotating set rotated consistently in terms of speed. We weren't using any kind of motorized system that would deliver a consistent motion each time. We had two really strong dudes back there rotating this thing, which for the most part worked, but it did make for some little inconsistencies with speed.
That's okay. That's gonna happen if you shoot over a course of a few days.
Because of that, we, as you'll see, there's some, the masking isn't perfect.
It's okay. You're gonna be fine.
We were okay with that because of the presentation that we decided to use, which was that very fast, speed ramped, motion blurred kind of, Tasmanian devil style, tornado effect with them coming in and out really quickly. That was very forgiving when it came to those masks.
Sometimes HR seems like a revolving door of everything.
Well, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but...
Hypothetically, would I need permission to go on a date with my supervisor?
Yeah, I was told you could help me with a problem in the men's room.
I'm a referee, a therapist, and sometimes a plumber. But what I love most about my job is helping people.
How do I save and retire early to get to the beach?
Ooh, have you started investing money in your health savings account? And the only thing better than helping people is when they help each other.
Hey, did you know you can save money for retirement using your HSA? Really? I thought you could just use that for sunscreen and Band-Aids and stuff.
Education is your ticket to fewer interruptions. Join us on HSA Day and help your employees get the answers they need.
Well, we certainly had a lot of fun recapping this production, but the most important part is, did you have fun? Let us know if you had fun.
Watching us have fun.
Watching you.
Watching you. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next one.